Welcome back to Mountain Blade, lads and ladies. I just can't get enough of this game, and I was looking for something to fill in the gap so that I could take a break from War Thunder for a little while, just so that it would feel fresh again. And with update 1.91 coming very soon, that's a great opportunity. Speaking of great opportunities, here we are in our first Siege Tower siege, attempting to acquire our first castle? We'll see. Maybe one of many for the Demon Knight Dullahan. We'll have to find out. So, I'm assuming we need to push this siege tower, and Team Fortress style, is it Team Fortress? What do the kids play in these days? You gotta stand next to the siege tower, and it drives itself. Now, I can't jump onto the ramp yet, as much as I try my aerial Slav squat, which is the only form of jumping in this game. We're not able to mount up on that ramp yet, so we'll have to push it to the goal. You can hear our sword sisters, hello sisters, opening up on the enemy, and you can see I have just the kill feed enabled on the left side of the screen. There are many options for notifications you can get in this game, and I've turned most of them off. They are rather interesting, but when you get into a large-scale battle the likes of this one, you'll want to shut those off. We have the unit cap set to, I think, 58, which is the default, so there's only so many of my soldiers and the enemy soldiers that can appear on the battlefield at one time, and that does help to keep things a little bit more under control. And as we gaze at the beautiful skybox, ready our shield. This is probably the last you'll see of this particular equipment set that we have here. I was trying out the spear, and I'm not a huge fan. I can see how it would be useful, but it's not the most efficient weapon for a powerhouse like Dullahan to wield. His shield, not bad at all. It'll serve me quite well in this battle, as you'll see, but I am due for an upgrade. The shield on my back, again, capable of blocking arrows and sometimes attacks. I think maybe, perhaps, maybe not. Anyway, at least enemy arrows can be blocked by the shield on my back, and it could do with an upgrade as well. It's not all that capable of resisting damage, so it can shatter sooner than I would like it to. Even so, with my incredible melee prowess and the support of an incredible number of archers in the form of the sword sisters here, who are fairly well armored as far as archers go, mounted when you're not in siege combat, and commonly wielding two-handed weapons, either a spear or a heavy mace. They're very capable support as we go whack-a-mole on the enemy team here. These vertical attacks, capable of targeting enemies in close quarters, in tight formations, because again, if you hit a wall, or if you would hit an ally, your weapon recoils, wasting your attack. So these vertical attacks, while they have less of a sweeping coverage, so that you can actually crowd surfing time as, oh my goodness, how many arrows are we gonna eat as we fall to the ground? That was not at all what I wanted it to be. We're taking so many hits here. Our shield, a pincushion. I'm not sure how all of these archers are able to target me, but they definitely are. As we absorb so much damage, we definitely made a tactical error there, and only the fact that we're playing on minimum difficulty has saved our life. And yet, our, we'll call it bold flanking maneuver, has enabled the sword sisters to take down a good number of the enemy. Why are they called sword sisters if none of them actually wield a sword? Questions. And even more now, the value of our shield is going up as all of these arrows are now stuck to it. Can I harvest these arrows? Wouldn't that be great if I could add those to my quiver. But such is not the case. They're firmly embedded in my shield in lieu of being firmly embedded in my flesh, and yet we're not really making progress at this point. All we can do is defend as arrow after arrow slams into our ludicrously perforated shield at this point, or permeated. Does it count now as like a hedgehog shield? Do the arrows that are stuck into it help it to snag more arrows? I don't think so. I did mention that this shield does have a good ability to resist damage, and I feel we've proved that, and yet it can only resist so much, even with our high shield skill. And another wave of enemy archers come in as a shield sister goes crowd surfing, and I follow. And now we're in something of a dilly of a pickle, as they say in the business. I do not have the ability to use the shield that's on my back because it's bound to my two-handed weapon slot. So this is something of a problem as we take down one, maybe two enemies who come into close range here, and yet we're hiding behind the stairs like a coward as so many enemy archers are still available on the field. It might be wise for us to see about our retreat options. Come on, Toshio. There's a time to live. There's a time to run. And I think both of those times are right now. Let's get it done. How do we escape this battle? Oh my gosh, look at how many reinforcements they have, as only a handful of our own soldiers are still around. I take one more hit, and there's just a huge number of enemies staring me down. Can we run? No, that's not the way to do it. I think the tab button. Yes. Okay, let's get out of here. That was a little bit close. We'll just say that I threw my ninja smoke balls and escaped that battle. We lost, for us, an incredible number of soldiers in that battle, having 9 shield sisters taken down. So we're going to actually pull out back into siege mode and continue to wait outside the castle. Okay, hopefully we've recovered enough to be able to be effective now. Taking a look at the quite a large number of events happening that we're being alerted to in the bottom left there. And once you join a major faction by swearing fealty to their king, all of those little bits of information are very meaningful. Of course, there's still all of the training going on, and I have specialized my companions for training my soldiers, which really helps me to continually run an army of top-tier troops, which allows me to take on armies much larger than my own with few worries and few losses. As we go for, well, something that worries me a little bit, another attack on this castle. I know that we dealt them serious damage in the last attack, but I don't want to lose a handful of Sword Sisters again. They are a difficult unit to replace, not the most difficult in Wings of Glory, because you can recruit women from enemy bandits who always have some captive ladies. We shan't ask too many questions about what's cooking with that, but they're always willing to be hired into our mercenary band. These are hardened ladies, I suppose, and they're ready to go reclaim some independence in the land of Mount and Blade, a game that is something of a meme in terms of gender equality, where it represents medieval culture much more accurately. And women, they have to fight for any kind of respect, and often will never have the same rights and opportunities as men in this medieval world. I'm not saying that's a good thing. In fact, the Demon Knight Dullahan here, fighting for equal representation, an army of women, something to the effect of around 60 ladies in my army, and a total unit count of around 100, 120 generally at this point in the game. So our army is roughly half women, which is a great opportunity for all the guys in the army, I suppose. But there's no time for love now, only war, as we continue to push toward the walls of the enemy castle. speaking of moving things along, it's just about the end of summer, and I can feel it in the air. I feel it in my bones, and I'm ready for fall. I'm a huge fan of the winter months. I think just because I like to be inside anyway, so it's cooler and a little bit more reasonable for me to sit inside and never step into the light if it's raining and miserable outside anyway. And there's just that cozy feeling of being in a nice, comfortable house, something that I'm very grateful for. In fact, I'm renting the house that my dad grew up in from his mom. That's right, my grandma is my landlady, which is another thing that I'm grateful for. She's a great person to owe money to, we'll put it that way. And we definitely pay our debts as we continue the whack-a-mole. Do you fear that sound? Any of you old OG Super Smash Bros. Players out there, where the hammer was ridiculously powerful in the original Smash Bros. And it still is quite strong. But maybe it's just because I was a new player back then. It just seems like it's not quite as strong as it used to be, with the exception, I suppose, of the Golden Hammer. And here we go again. Oh no, crowd surfing! My music was too strong! This time, I don't get targeted by 17 dozen enemy archers. That was ridiculous last time. And we cleanly sweep the enemy from the field. The reinforcements seriously diminished by our last attack, and yet still capable of fielding more troops against our ragged band. You can hear these sword ladies just letting go with some hooting and a hollering as we go into shield mode and white knight our way to being the black knight of this castle. Milady. Crushing skulls around me. Oh my goodness, here we go crowd surfing again. And here I go killing again. Any more reinforcements? What? Can no one provide me with a decent challenge? Ow! Okay, that does hurt. So, you can see that a siege battle is a little bit different than your typical field battle. I would hazard to say there's less opportunity for cheeky tactics and strategery, but that is just more or less a first impressions, as I haven't engaged in "would you stop shooting my ladies?" all that many siege battles yet. You can see that these enemy archers, the steppe troops, almost all of them having some sort of ranged weapon, commonly a bow, with which they have decent proficiency, can provide a real challenge in a siege, and yet most of their units also not well armored, and so we're able to just clean house as soon as we close to melee range. I am not worried at all about these enemy soldiers, and as long as I have enough troops to provide something of a wall or a line around me, I'm not at all worried about my ability to take them down, especially since my armor is about as strong as it can be. And yet, their ferocious counterattack here starting to wear down my soldiers, as most of my sword sisters have, well, I don't know where they've gone. A few of them have died and been knocked unconscious, and we have lost more units than I would prefer in this battle, and yet we've dealt with the majority of the enemy forces as we go into a final duel here, flailing wildly with a lot less skill and a lot more fury than we saw in the tournaments. And yet we've taken the outer courts of the castle. Now all that remains is to wipe out the last remaining defenders in the castle keep, as the sword sisters let go with their furious yell, and we whack-a-mole on yet a couple more enemy defenders who really didn't stand a chance. There it is. Victory. We have acquired for ourselves another castle. Another thing I appreciate about the Wings of Glory mod is that at the end of battle, in Vanilla Mountain Blade, your soldiers all cheer. Well, that sounds great, Toshio. Yes, it is great. And then it's great. And then it's just great. And then it grates on your nerves. And then it's just horrible. So, as I mentioned, the sounds in this game, not all that complex, not all that modern or, excuse me, well modeled by today's standards, and yet suitable in building an atmosphere. Some of those sounds get old fast, so it's nice to see that Wings of Glory gets rid of the victory cheer. I've won too many battles to hear everyone celebrate. It just gets a little bit annoying. Looking at our forces, we've taken some damage, as many of our companions have been wounded or received wounds in this battle, and we decide to leave a bunch of our Teutons here in the castle to hold it down until our king should be so kind as to award it to me. Having captured it all on my own, at my own expense, I kind of feel like I have a right to this castle. It is up to him, though. After all, I'm not the king. Yet. Catch you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.